Strick City, woo! Strick City, all over the world.
Strick City, man, we live. Yo, Strick City on the ride. Yo, look like surprise. Yo, taking your city like we live. Yo, man, we live. Yo, taking your city like surprise. Yo, on the ride. Yo, Strick City coming live. Yo.
We live?
Yeah.
Strick City, woo! Strick City, all over the world.
City, man, we live. Yo, Strick City on the ride. Yo, look like surprise. Yo, taking your city like we live. Yo, man, we live. Yo, taking your city like surprise. Yo, on the ride. Yo, Strick City coming live. Yo.
We live?
Yeah.
Strick City, woo! Strick City, all over the world.
City, man, we live. Yo, Strick City on the ride. Yo, look like surprise. Yo, taking your city like we live. Yo, man, we live. Yo, taking your city like surprise. Yo, on the ride. Yo, Strick City coming live. Yo.
Hey, man, I know you've been waiting on me to come back on, right? I know you were waiting. You know what's going down. Today is your boy Strick, and this is Strick City Live. I got a great show for you today, but I need you to do something for me. I need you to take a break and do what I have already did. I've already shared this. All you have to do is hit the share button, let everybody know in your friends list that you're watching Strick City. If you're on YouTube, just like it. If you're on Periscope and Twitter, you know what? It's good to see y'all again. But I need you to share this show, Strick City Live. I have some information for you today you do not want to miss. All right? So let me do this first. I always talk about the shirts and stuff that I have on. I'm still down with PI Fashion. So I want you to check out their store, pifashionstore.com. And this is the shirt for today. All right, you see that? All right, I am sporting the PI Fashion shirt, and so can you. I've already told you, people have been hitting us up, and they want us to have some of their merchandise, so they send it and I share it. It's on the page right now. You can see it, pifashionstore.com. It's where you can go and get all the little fashionable, and they do more than T-shirts. All right, don't just think they're T-shirts. So ladies, they have swimsuits, they have jeans, they have a lot of different things on the website. Go peruse the site and check them out. Now, also, got to shout out urbanham.com for all the events and details of what's happening in the city. You can check it out on urbanham.com. You can be in the know, and it's really that simple. They are a media partner of ours, and we appreciate them being on the team. So I want to do this really quick. Because there's so much to talk about. That's my intro for the night, because I really want to dive deep into our guest tonight. So I've known this young man for a very long time. We actually had I wouldn't say it was competing. We had two gospel shows going on the radio at the same time. It just so happens that more people was listening to his show than mine. You know, it just happens like that sometimes. But I really like the fact that he's been consistent over the years that I've known him, and his job is to help small business people, and he does it in tons of different ways. So we're going to talk about that tonight, because some of the stuff that I had a chance to research, I didn't know. So the stuff that I didn't know, we're going to talk about so you could be in the know of what we have right here in the community of Birmingham, the people that we have, the work that they do. And I mean, you already know this guy by his name, but let's dig down into what he does. So without further ado, let me bring him onto the show, none other than Bob Dickerson. How you doing tonight, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good, DJ Strick. How you doing tonight?
Man, you know what? I'm happy that I could just send a call, text, and say, hey, can you come on my show? And you were like, sure, Strick, I'll come on when you want me to be on. It was just that simple.
Well, that's the way it's going to be, man, with me and you. You know, hey, like you said, we go way back. We're right there. We're looking through the glass at each other early Sunday morning.
Early Sunday mornings. So I was doing gospel jams, and you and Ron Marshall was doing the Myriad Gospel Countdown.
Yeah, the countdown. The countdown's still going on. The
countdown, listen, before I even made it to Birmingham, I was in Opelika, Alabama, listening to the Myriad Gospel Countdown. I played it several different times, but I was just a kid at that time. I'm not saying I was really, really young, but, you know, before I knew who you guys were, I heard the countdown and was really inspired by the work. I didn't want to be a DJ then, but I was like, man, this is really cool. It was the only place you could get, like, all of the best songs in 1 hour, I guess.
Yeah, well, you know, Ron is the DJ. I was just always the side man.
Right.
Ron and I go way back, grew up in the same neighborhood. He won't mind me saying, Ron was a big boy when I was a little boy, so I always looked up to him. And so we were just talking about things we could do in gospel music back in the mid-90s, and just came up with this idea of doing a top 10 gospel countdown show. And I happen to know, first of all, I knew Doug Ford, who is our engineer and has been with us for a quarter century. We've been doing this for 25 years.
Wow.
And then I was really tight, and so was Doug with Bridget Cannon Scott, who you know from radio.
I do.
I'm not going to say from way back because she's still so young, you know what I'm saying. But
right.
But yeah, so, you know, it was a lot of fun. It's still been fun. We're still doing it. You know, we look at it as, you know, it's kind of something we love doing. It's like our ministry, and a way of, you know, saying something on the radio or playing something on the radio that touches somebody's heart or lifts them up if they're having a bad day or a bad week, brings them closer to Christ. I mean, those are not the only objectives, but those are some of the things that come to mind. So we just love doing it. It's a lot of fun. God has blessed us to be around for over a quarter century. So that doesn't happen by accident.
It really doesn't happen by accident. And some people will be like me. I'm still in the music business. I still do radio, gospel radio. But the Myriad Gospel Countdown, and I may not know the number, so I may mess up with this number, but over 40 markets?
Yeah, right now we're probably 50, 60, 70. That changes. Yeah, we're hooked up with Rejoice. And so that gave us probably a good 60 plus what we syndicate to on our own. So we're getting out there pretty good.
Yeah, you know, a couple of people are hearing the show, you know, a couple of cities here, right?
Yeah.
Man, that's really cool,
couple
man.
Of places here and there. Yeah, so, you know, it's good. I give a lot of credit again. I give a lot of credit to Ron for his vision and, you know, him being the radio guy. But then I have to give a lot of credit to Doug, because Doug is the guy that puts the show together and allows us to have an efficient way of producing the show, assembling it, and getting it out and keeping it fresh. So, you know, he makes our job easy. When we go to the studio, Doug has everything laid out. He's very well organized. So I really appreciate that about him.
That's cool, man. I do know in producing shows, organization is always the key. Because if you're disorganized, it's going to be a long night, and that's not what you want. That is not what
No,
you want.
especially with somebody like me who's got a short attention span. So you got to get me in, give me what you want me to do, and let me go. Because if things aren't organized and they're not working, number one, I'm gonna get frustrated. Number two, I'm gonna have something to do. So,
Right.
Anyway, but it's been good. I'm glad you asked about that. I'm glad I was able to. I want to give some shout outs to my brothers Ron and Doug and my sister Bridget.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. And of course, that's how we were introduced to each other. But then it goes down to what you actually do here in the city, part of your business, the Business Resource Center. How long have you been doing that?
Same, the countdown and the Resource Center started the same year. We kicked off the countdown Valentine's Day of 1996, and we opened the doors of the Birmingham Business Resource Center in November of 1996. So we're going to be celebrating like our 25th anniversary of each coming up. So, I had a real busy last 25 years.
You've been rocking and rolling, man. You really have. Now, are you originally from Birmingham?
I grew up in Roosevelt City. So, yeah, I'm from the Birmingham area. Roosevelt City, most of you know where it is. It's out between Midfield and Bessemer. So that's where I grew up and, went to school. And I went to Tuskegee for college. I lived in Jackson, Mississippi for a couple of years. I lived in Atlanta for about a year. But otherwise, I've been right here in the Birmingham area.
Wow. Now, then you went to Tuskegee, right? I'm actually from Opelika, right down the street from Tuskegee, and I went to Auburn too. So I'm very familiar with Tuskegee and the university. Absolutely, always love going to Tuskegee. That being said, after school you came back to the city?
Yeah, I came back to Birmingham. I started working for a bank called Birmingham Trust National Bank, BTNB. That was 1973. So I'm dating myself. So it's been a while. But I've spent the 17 of my first 20 years out of college in banking, and the last few years I've been, doing my own thing and running a nonprofit organization. So it's sort of been a split career. But the banking piece kind of prepared me for doing, the small business development and managing the loan programs, and then being able to use, what I've learned there and then what I picked up since to try to help small businesses.
And that's where you are. That's what I want to talk about today, based on where we are with the pandemic. And I say I want to talk about that. I really want to talk about all the stuff that you do. And I got like 10 different things. We talked about a Marriott Gospel Countdown. We're talking about the Business Resource Center and how you position yourself to help people to get loans to start businesses. Now we're in a pandemic. Everybody has a small business. What was that? The small business loan that came out not too long ago, where people can just apply, and it was really a easy application online. What's your mindset about that? Because I have friends that they may or may not have a business, but they got a business loan. Like, what's the real deal behind what this business loan was for people?
All right. Well, so there have been several things that have happened, and it came out of the CARES Act. So that the U.S. Congress passed. The most popular ones, or one, was the Paycheck Protection Loan Program, the PPP.
Right.
And a lot of businesses got PPPs. Now, if they weren't in business or they didn't use that money the right way, I got news for them. They might have a little bit of a problem. I hope that wasn't the case for too many of them. But the Paycheck Protection Loan Program was put in place to do just that, to try to help people weather the storm of the COVID-19 or coronavirus. I imagine, and I can only imagine, but I think this is right, that when Congress passed that law, the thinking was that by now, the virus would be gone and we'd be pretty much back to normal or whatever normal is going to be after this is over.
Right.
Of course, we're not back to normal. In fact, we're still in the midst of the virus. And so it was to make sure that businesses could keep their employees employed. And so there is a provision in the Paycheck Protection Loan Program that if you use the money for payroll or mortgage interest or utilities or rent, that the loan can be forgiven. And so now all the people who've gotten Paycheck Protection loans can start applying for forgiveness. So that was one of them.
And that's
Then
the
there was
forgiveness
something-
part has already started, is what you're saying now. They can apply for the forgiveness part already.
Right. You have to apply with your bank for forgiveness like you applied for with the bank for the loan. Of course, the banks want to have it forgiven because they don't need a collection problem. So it's in their best interest that, the loans get forgiven. All of them aren't going to be forgiven. We've just seen some evidence of people not using the money in an appropriate way. Maybe some banks closed their eyes and might have allowed some folks to borrow money that maybe they shouldn't have been able to borrow because they didn't have employees or they didn't meet the qualifications, weren't spending the money in the right way. But by and large, the forgiveness applications are out there now. So if you got one and you want to get it forgiven and you want to know what it takes to get it forgiven, go on the SBA's website, download the application. There are about 6 things that you need to have, like your payroll records, rent records, utility records, et cetera. So you've got to have that for the bank. So the bank can have that for SBA so they can ask you to get that forgiven. There are another couple of things that came out. So the Small Business Administration, and we work with the SBA now, but the SBA only does one kind of direct loan. All the other loans they do through banks, except when there's a disaster.
Right.
And so it's called the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. That's money that you can borrow at 3 3/4% for up to 30 years.
Gotcha.
So you can borrow money and have a very small payment. Typically, you saw that used when there was a hurricane or tornado or that kind of disaster. And so this pandemic was deemed to be a disaster, in keeping with the fact that these folks had to shut down businesses for an extended period of time. And that is an economic injury that resulted from that. And so, people were able to borrow those to get those loans. Now, the one difference between the economic injury disaster loan, people call that the EIDL, and the Paycheck Protection Loan, the PPP, is that where the PPP can be forgiven, EIDL will not. You're going to have to pay EIDL back at some point. So EIDL will not. And then, of course, the state of Alabama put some money in this Revive Alabama program that's actually making grants or forgivable loans to businesses in the state. And I think those are up to $15,000. That money may be gone by now. I'd have to check to make sure. But those things are put in place to try to, help businesses, kind of make it through this economic depression. And God knows we thought it'd be over, from March to now, we're looking at October and things are not back to normal. And truth be told, we don't know what normal is going to look like if we ever see normal again.
Yeah, normal has changed, sir. It really has.
Yeah.
And especially for a small business person, like you really have to be thoughtful about how you use technology now to go forward.
Absolutely. And those business owners that can thrive that way are in good shape. But the business owners that depended on foot traffic and depending on place and people being in a specific place, if they weren't nimble enough to sort of pivot or change or sort of reinvent themselves, then, obviously, they're going to be hurt. And the sad part is they are getting hurt not because of a poor decision they made or poor business practices or, something they did wrong. they were a victim of something that happened in the environment
Right.
that they had absolutely no control over.
Do you think what the federal government offered with the loans and the grants, even with the state of Alabama, so let's just keep it here from a business owner in Alabama, do you think it was enough to sustain them over these last couple of months? The opportunities they had to get money.
You about to make me say something, but no,
Okay. No, it wasn't enough.
no, no,
Okay.
no. So just you got to think about it. And I talk to bankers all the time, and I'm quick to share this. Number one, small businesses struggle. Period.
Right.
In the best of times, small businesses struggle. It's almost a definition of small business that you get up every day, and it's like you put your uniform on and your shoulder pads and your helmet, and you go out and you do battle for your survival. I mean, this is what the small business environment is like for 90% of the small businesses. There's always a fight. It's always a struggle. Black small businesses, the struggle was even more real.
Gotcha.
Because we just have never really had a foothold in the business markets. We didn't have a foothold on being able to access capital or have market opportunities. So the struggle was even more intense.
Right.
And so businesses were struggling in the best of times. Small businesses struggle in the best of times. And so, no, being able to go out and borrow, some money, even if it's forgiven, to cover basically 2 months of payroll, 2 months of rent, 2 months of mortgage interest, or 2 months of utilities, and you were able to do that in, say, May, well, that just covered March and April, and you got it in May.
Right.
Or it covered May and June. We're in October almost. So where's that coming from? So no, that was not enough. And here's the other thing. If we don't do something for small business, and this is not color, this is black, white, the businesses with 5 employees or the businesses with 5 employees. If we don't do something for these businesses coming out of this, whenever we come out, then a lot of them aren't going to survive, and we're going to lose some good entrepreneurs. And the last thing I'll say on this is, and this is another thing that I've said to bankers, that they have to change their idea. They have to change their credit policies. They've got to change their notions of what is credit worthy on the other side of this. And they've got to be able to put entrepreneurs back in business. The entrepreneur is going to want to start over. Right. I don't care if he closed. I don't care how bad he got hurt. When you got that entrepreneur thing inside you, the thing you're going to want to do is to pick up the pieces and go start over.
Right.
Organizations like mine are going to want to help, but we're going to need banks and large financial institutions and intermediaries to help us as well. We got to get these people a chance to get back in business, even though they got hurt by this pandemic.
I've heard, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, if I heard it wrong, but I've heard you say there's still a disparity between black small businesses getting loans through banks than our white brothers and sisters. Is that still true from what you see?
Yeah, the PPP drew a picture vividly. So when PPP comes out, the folks with the relationships were able to get the money. So if you were sitting there with a real good relationship with a bank, and we had some big businesses got PPP.
Right.
I mean, we got folks got $8 and $10 million PPPs because their payroll was that big. So you can imagine how big a business got to be if your 2-month payroll is $5 or $6 million. That's pretty big.
Right.
You know, that's not most of the businesses that we deal with at the Birmingham Business Resource Center, black or white. Those are really big businesses.
Okay.
But those folks had strong relationships at banks. And I can imagine the banks were calling them saying, hey, man, come on out here and get this money.
Right.
You first in line. You're one of my best customers. And I understand that because you want to take care of your best customers because, you know, that's just the way business works.
Right.
But what it showed was that two things. That number one, it showed that the relationships mattered. And when you didn't have the relationship, then you had a problem. And by and large, a lot of our businesses didn't have the relationships. And so, when we walked in the bank, because we didn't have a relationship, they're saying, well, who are you?
Wow.
We don't know you.
Right.
We're not really familiar with who you are. And so, yes, it made a tremendous difference. And it was unfortunate that it happened, but some lessons are learned out of that. Seek out a relationship with the bank. And, we want to help folks forge relationships with banks and bankers. If you're in business, the onus is on you to have a relationship. And if one bank doesn't want you to have a relationship, then there are 10 more that might. But you got to keep pushing that issue to make sure that you do. Then number two, and this is important as well, maintain good records. Unfortunately, too many small businesses keep records at tax time. When it gets time for taxes, now they go and collect all their records. And so, if it's not tax time, then the records aren't available. And so in this case, you had to demonstrate your payroll for the last year, and, you had to share your paperwork.
Right.
And so if you didn't have it and you had to go get it, then that was a delay. And if you didn't have it and you couldn't go get it, then, you're ineligible. So,
Got you.
Just a couple of things that we can put to good use as lessons learned out of the COVID-19 pandemic.
So Bob, I really like the information you're giving. You're giving two things, and I was always told, I don't know who told me this, but having a relationship with a bank is one of the things that you need to do. And I'm not like the biggest business owner, I'm not a business owner, not like on having employees. But I understand being able to walk into a bank and that person on the other end knowing who I am. So when I talk to them about the needs that I may have, at least there's a relationship there. I don't care if it's just buying a car. You just don't, if you want to loan money, you need to have a relationship with that person. So it's just a whole lot less questions when they know who you are. That being said, is that something that's just not taught with business owners? Are they just moving too fast? Or sometimes is it just the fact that, hey, I had to float some money and their last relationship didn't go so well, so I'm trying to establish a new relationship. Does that happen still with small business people?
Yeah, absolutely. That happens. So I tell business owners all the time, you need a relationship with a banker as well as a bank.
I got you.
And you have to seek that out. But yes, banks have not been, and this is to their discredit, banks have not always been as welcoming to our people, to black people and black businesses. Banks, there's a law called the Community Reinvestment Act that says that banks will provide their products and services to all the markets and all the people that they in the communities that they get deposits from. But we know that we have to be diligent to make sure that happens. I serve on the board. As a matter of fact, I'm the chairman of the board of a national community reinvestment coalition, a watchdog that tries to ensure that banks serve the community in the way that they should. But that's a 24/7 job. And so, no, our people have never been served by the system, banking, housing, government, you name it, like we should have. And so it is more difficult. In a bank, sometimes when a black business, and we just did this, let me just say this, the organization I mentioned, NCRC, National Community Reinvestment Coalition, we do testing sometimes. So we get testers to go into banks, and we'll get black business owner, and then we'll get a white business owner, and then we'll get a Hispanic business owner, and we send them in the same bank, and we give them a similar profile,
Okay.
you know, and we sometimes will make the black business owner a little bit better, a little more money, a little better credit, a little better everything, a little better dressed, just to see if this face-to-face and point-to-point discrimination occurs. Well, it occurs.
Right.
It still occurs. What we found is that black business owners were not offered cards, not called by name, not offered help filling out the application, steered away.
Wow.
Steered right off the bat, steered away. And we've done these tests in the D.C. area and in California. We haven't done them in Alabama.
Okay.
But, you know, I don't think that we find a lot different. So we have to stay diligent on making sure that we pursue relationships, but we have to point it out when we feel that we've been discriminated against. And trust me, discrimination still occurs. Now, I need to put my phone on the charger because, you know, I was planning on being on my computer.
I got you.
Wait a minute. This is going to be tricky. This is going to be tricky.
Yeah, you got time. So one of the reasons why I wanted Bob on today as he charges his phone, I wanted everyone that's in my audience is going to watch this today. If you're a small business person, or if you're a business savvy person, there are going to be some things that we're going to talk about today that I want you to be aware of. He's already dropped some nuggets for you as far as if you're a small business person, how important it is for you to have a relationship with a bank. All right. The next question I got coming up to him is I'm one of those kind of people that always say, hey, if a door is closed, I'm not going to try to push into a closed door. Where are some of the open doors? Where are some of the places that we have found that are working with us and work with us well? Those are going to be some questions I'm going to ask him. And I think you want to be listening to this right now. Not only that, if you haven't shared it yet, why not? This is some good stuff. I want to bring him back on. Bob Dickerson, he's a banker here right out of Birmingham, Alabama. He started an organization, the Business Resource Center, and he helps people that are running businesses. So if you're having a problem you don't know, he's the guy you go to, all right? He's the guy you go to get the information. He helps you, he counsels you, and he helps you get going with that information. I will tell you this, Bob, I am looking at the phone. I will need it back the other way. It's sideways right now. Yes, sir. There you go. There you go. That's better. That's better. All right. So
all right, good.
We're back on, Bob, and what I want to talk about, I said this while you were setting up again. The question is, we know even locally there may be some obstacles with certain banks or bankers that are not like the best for small business people. Is there some places that you know, I don't know if you are endorsing people right now, but are places that you know they could go to get what they need?
Well, I really don't want to call names because I think we need to encourage all banks to work with our people. And I don't want to single any out, both either good or bad. What I would do, however, and I don't mind folks contacting me directly.
That's really what I wanted to get out of this. Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. All right. Contact me directly. What we do at our shop is we will work with individual business owners individually. So we'll look at your financials. We'll let you get your credit report. We'll look at that. If you got a business plan, we'll look at that. And then, you know, we may suggest some things that you need to do to, you know, sort of improve your opportunity to be, you know, able to get financing. We're going to know what you want to do, what you're doing, what you need to do. And then we don't have a problem picking up the phone and calling and making an introduction or going with you. I mean, I go with people to banks. You know, I've met with clients and bankers, with business owners and bankers to provide that sort of advocacy that we need to do for our folks. So So yeah, I would love it. I mean, and I have no problem. We extend our services to each and every person that we can. You know, and I have a staff with folks that understand how to do that. So it's not just me. You know, so you're not. It's not a situation where you got to wait a year, you know,
Gotcha.
to be able to get an appointment or get something done.
I
But
got
the
you.
biggest thing is to try to help businesses understand how banks look at information. You know,
Okay.
if you got to figure, if you can help, or if we can help you figure out what you look like to the bank,
Okay.
if we can help you figure out what you're likely to be able to borrow just using our judgment and understanding of banking. And this assumes fairness and not discrimination. And we're going
Right.
to leave that off the table for a moment. Because if we find out or feel like you've been discriminated against, then you're going to have us in there fighting with you too. Because I mean, we've had some situations where we felt that clients didn't get a fair shake and should have got a better hearing or should have got along when they didn't. So we're right there to fight that fight with you too. But if you can work with us, we want to work with you. We have a really good track record of being able to walk folks in the bank or send people in banks and have them to succeed. But let me mention there's another type of financial institution.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a Community Development Financial Institution, a CDFI.
Okay.
And there are CDFIs, there are 4 CDFIs that are operating right here in Birmingham right now, maybe 5 that operate here in Birmingham right now. There's one that is from Birmingham, it's actually started here. But CDFIs exist to help folks who are not quite ready for the bank but
Okay.
have a good business plan. But they wouldn't be able to get a bank loan quite right now, but they are able to get a CDFI loan. So it may be that there was a credit issue that a bank wouldn't overlook, the CDFI might. Or if there was a experience issue that a bank might not overlook, the CDFI might. Or, or a financial statement issue that the bank might not overlook, the CDFI might approve that loan. So it gives us another avenue and another opportunity to use a financial resource or a financial intermediary to try to help get financing for a particular loan or a particular company.
And you're calling that a community development? Is it a bank or
Well, these are organizations are
organizations? Okay.
yeah they are nonprofit organizations. They are sanctioned and designated by the U.S. Department of Treasury to do community development financing in a certain place.
I got you.
That's certain, and some of them are national, and they exist primarily for loans for housing
Mm-hmm.
and or small business. And so
Okay.
the ones that we have that operate here in Birmingham are all small business lending CDFIs.
Got you. Got you.
And
So
I will call their names. One is the one that is actually headquartered here in Birmingham is Bronze Valley. Bronze Valley is they've been around for a couple of years now, maybe 3, and they focus on helping people of color fund and grow tech businesses.
okay.
There's another one, Sabre. Sabre is connected to the Regional Planning Commission. Sabre is really interested in doing smaller, more micro type financing. And then there is True Fund. True Fund comes out of New York, but they've had an operation in Alabama for a number of years. Very well run. I like them. I send a lot of folks to them. And then there's Lift Fund. Lift Fund is out of Texas. They used to be Axion Finance. And so all of those organizations exist to try to help businesses that can't get a bank loan right now have access to capital so that they can grow to a point where at some point in the near future, they're able to walk into Regions or BBVA or, one of the other banks and hear yes,
Wow.
as opposed to hearing no.
So, man, this is a wealth of information. So, if anybody is watching this right now, you're watching this on a replay, just pause it. You know what I'm saying? Write these notes down. Write the notes down of what Bob is saying about how you, as a business person, if you're not ready for the bank yet, there are other opportunities for you. But more importantly, the question I really have for you, Bob, is what is the type of client that you're personally looking for? I know you have several different ways that you can help people in business with business loan, but who are you really looking for coming through your door?
Okay, so it's not just one. So we run an SBA program where we loan money to companies that are looking to buy commercial real estate to operate their businesses out of.
Okay.
They're not buying it to lease it out or speculate on it, but it's to operate a business out of. We work in conjunction with banks on that program.
Okay.
We're looking for people who are involved in some sort of supplier diversity initiative. They have a relationship with a major organization that purchases from them, but they need help with working capital.
Okay.
So we're really looking for businesses that fit that bill, and we're looking to help companies that are quote unquote from emerging markets, which would be African American, other minorities, disadvantaged businesses, historically disadvantaged and underutilized businesses. We're really trying to help those types of businesses improve their likelihood of being able to access capital. And so, I don't want it to. It's hard when you say we got something for everybody, but we got something for just about everybody who can walk through our door. If you're not ready to start a business, we offer a lot of training classes that help people build the capacity to be business owners. We work in conjunction. We actually work with some of the banks, BBVA, Regions, and Renaissance Bank on some specific capacity building programs. And so we do referrals to a lot of banks to really help folks get engaged with banks. So if you're not in business, if you're thinking about going into business, then I think we got something for you. If you're in business and you're trying to grow, then we can help you to evaluate or create the strategic growth plan. And if you're already there and need to help with financing a major fixed asset, then we have something for you as well.
So he's giving you all of these things that he can help you with, no matter what level you're on. So why am I having him on the show? Like, I'm having him on the show because I endorse what Bob does. Like, this is real simple, y'all. So if you're a business person, which, Bob, I will tell you this, everybody's a business owner right now with this pandemic. Like, whether you think you are or not, you should be a business owner. Like, there's so much opportunity coming out of this pandemic. So if the current business owners don't change their business, they're gonna miss out. And if you are thinking about it, like you have an inkling that I want to start a business, now is the time. And what I'm telling you is that this guy right here, let me go the other direction, right? Bob, you can see him on the screen. You need to call his office, all right? Set up an appointment, get some consultation on what it is that you could do. But more importantly, let me ask you, because yearly you do things, conferences and trainings and all this stuff, like the AG Gaskin conference that you do. Is that still going on this year? Have you guys already did that? You're planning for 2021?
Yeah, so we did the 2020. It's in February.
Gotcha.
And so this year, 2020, we had it February 12th and 13th. We just got it under the gun from COVID. I mean, we just got it right in. So right now we are planning to have a 2021 conference.
Gotcha.
We don't know whether or not it will be virtual or in person. We do know that we are actually developing our virtual plan right now. We already had our in-person plan. In-person plan is going to change a little bit if we end up, and we're fortunate enough to do it in person. Of course, we're going to have to do some things a little different. We probably won't be able to have a reception. We got to do, instead of 8 folks at a table, it'd probably be 4.
Gotcha.
You know, but we're working on that. But the Gaston Conference, I do that. I worked for Gaston from 1984 to 1989.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So yeah, I re-entered, or I restarted my banking career working for Gaston starting in 1984. And because I got a chance to work for him, I think everything else that has happened good for me in my life happened. I don't know if that would have happened had I not worked for Gaston. And I was headed back to another bank, and and ended up at Citizens. And honestly, it was the best move I made. I was only there 5 years, but it still was the best move, because it helped me launch some things, and it helped me launch me, for lack of a better word.
Hey,
so we do this conference in his honor. He was a iconic business owner. Even 100 years after he started his business, he's still the most successful Black business owner in the state of Alabama. 100 years later, he's still the most successful. None of us, I'm including me in this number, none of us have achieved what he achieved. None of us.
So help me out with the achievement. Now, I know he had a insurance business here in Birmingham. He had the radio station, so he had multiple businesses that he owned. Are we talking about a multi-million-dollar corporation?
Yeah. So at one point, he was worth about $150 million.
Wow.
And this is in the 80s.
Right.
So here's a guy whose grandparents were slaves.
Mm-hmm.
You never heard him mention a father. So, everything that you could read about him says that he was raised by his grandparents and his mother. His mother was a domestic. But none of that. So, and I often say this, and some people say I shouldn't really say it, that the day Gaston was born in 1892, he had a better chance of being lynched than become a millionaire.
Right. That's true.
He had a much better chance of being lynched than become successful. But he didn't let that stop him. He wasn't what you call, quote unquote, well educated, but he did understand education. He got a chance to go to the Tuggle School. Gotcha. Which back for Negroes at the turn of the century, that was some big stuff.
Right.
He was influenced by Booker T. Washington, who was a pragmatic Negro leader who talked about industry and cast your buckets down where you are. And we ain't worried about being integrated. We've got to get some money and develop our skills and develop our community and build our schools and all that kind of stuff. So he was a devotee of Booker T. Washington. He sort of took that into business. He was working for the mines in Westfield, and he was a mama's boy. His mama would make him a lunch. His lunches were so good, all the other miners wanted some of his lunch. So he said, "Oh shoot, okay." He told his mom. He said, "We could sell some of these lunches."
Right.
Bam. He's got a business. He realizes that. And this even happened when I was a kid. When people died, Black folks still give you money when folks die.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what they did. They went and collected money. Somebody died, you went and got a nickel, a dime, a quarter, and whatever you could get to get them buried. He started a burial society, finding a need and filling it. The need for the lunches, the need for a burial society. So this is in the 20s. And so by the 30s, he's got, an insurance company. He's in the burial society, grows to an insurance company. And so now you've seen him where he owned Booker T. Washington Insurance Company because it grew that big. But then he also owned WIN and WAGG Radio. Right. He owned Citizens Federal Savings Bank, which is now Citizens Trust Bank. He owned Zion Memorial Gardens and Shadow Lawn Cemetery. He owned a real estate company, a bottling company, a construction company. I'm probably leaving out some things. So, yes, he was a big deal, a true entrepreneur.
Wow.
And so I just love doing the conference for him because when you think about where he came from, and how he could have got discouraged, and how he could have looked at, well, I'm just gonna I'm gonna work at the mine and tote that barge and lift that bale, and nothing was wrong with that, because that's what a lot of folks had to do. But, he had a plan and he executed.
It's an
He's a
interesting
hero.
story, but I don't know the full story, so I appreciate you taking the time to kind of explain it. My question is, even now, what you're saying, it's been 100 years since then, and no one in the state of Alabama have amounted or grown a business to even touch what he did. My question to you now is, with, say, a city like Birmingham. Birmingham is led by African Americans, by black people. Is it possible for us to do some collective things together to help grow an industry where we could get multiple millionaires, whether they start from small businesses and kind of grow it? Is that even possible?
It's possible. It's possible. We just have to have a lot of people, A, with the mindset to do it, and B, we have to have people who are selfless, and understand that their contribution and their place might not be, the one at the top, or the first one through the door, or the first one with the, with the big money. And then we have to hold two groups of people accountable. We have to hold ourselves accountable to support each other. And then we have to hold other folks accountable, because when you really think about it, I was reading the 1619 Project, and thinking about the fact that in 1619 was the year they brought slaves to Jamestown, Virginia.
Okay.
And there's no doubt that we need economic reparations. There's no question that black folks in America need and deserve economic reparations. We have to fight for those. And maybe we don't get Congress to pass a law. Maybe we have to get them incrementally.
Gotcha.
But our collective fight to be repaired, ought to include helping us grow significant, substantial, and strong small businesses. And then we and others have to support those businesses.
Gotcha. So it is one of the shows I'm going to do in, actually, the 1st of October. I'm doing a show with some small business people, some local and some national business people. And we're going to talk about that issue again. It'll be my second or third time talking about how the black community can start supporting black businesses. And I think it's important that we have that conversation, if it's over and over and over again, because, you can look at 4th Avenue, downtown Birmingham, what it is today, and think about what it used to be. And basically, we can go and shop wherever we want to be. We can go and shop wherever we want to go and shop at. You know what? I am an Amazon guy. I shop on Amazon, get boxes to the house all the time. But I think that there has to be some work on my part to find people that may have products locally. I don't care if it's restaurants, local restaurants. I have good friends that have a snow business. Guess what? I don't eat snow cones. But guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go buy snow cones and tell people to go buy snow cones. You know what I'm saying?
That's it, man. That's the deal. So at the Gaston conference, we've had this woman named Maggie Anderson. She's come 3 times, maybe 4. But Maggie Anderson, and you can check her out, she wrote this book called Our Black Year. You can have her on your program, because I can make it happen. She's become a friend. Maggie made a commitment to spend, she's a Chicagoan. She made a commitment for a year to only spend money with black folks. Now, that was hard, but she made a commitment and she stuck up to it. I first saw her on Fox, on Neil Cavuto, and he was giving her a hard time, basically saying, well, if white folks decided that they were just going to spend that money with white folks, black people would be mad. Well, that wasn't the point. And so she's now made the last 10 or 12 year career going around and talking about, the necessity for us to support each other. Now, it's probably impossible for us to spend all of our money with each other.
Right.
But we've got to be intentional about doing it every time we can. I was just happy. Before I came down here, my wife was telling me we found a couple of we like wine. So we found a couple of black wine bottlers in the strip club. So that's where we're getting our wine from. And so you
That's
get
cool.
Maggie, and she could talk about that. She could tell you who the black folks are that sell everything and how to get to them and how to get it through Amazon. So, but that's the kind of thinking that we have to deploy. If enough of us start thinking about that, if we, for example, if we started spending 10 cents out of every dollar that we make with black folks, we solve black unemployment like that. Just by spending 7 more cents out of the dollar that we spend. So that's just on us. So this is what the awareness that we have to have. And if we can come to that kind of awareness, then we can create some more gas stations. It wouldn't just have to be one. We can have several.
I absolutely love it. Bob, you do so much. Like right now, you're part of so many businesses. You're on so many boards. It would take us more than the time that I have today on this program to go through it all. I am at what you have been doing for a very long time, consistently helping people. And it is my job today to be sure that people are aware that you're in the city. If they're thinking about a business, all right, they're just thinking about I want them to call you. If they're in a business, they're not ready yet to get the loan, but they could use some extra capital, I want those folks to call you. And if they've been in business for a long time and they're getting prepared because 2020 has been not the best year for small businesses, but they can see a light in 2021 and they want to get going for 2021. So when the pandemic is over and everybody is getting back out, they are ready. I want those folks to call you as well because there's only a few of us that actually work in the space that you work in. So going to the Business Resource Center, making sure that they get the resources that they need, but also there's the Capital Foundation. Foundation Capital is another business that you're a part of. And, of course, the Building Alabama Revitalization. Reinvestment.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's our CRA coalition.
There's so many things that you are a part of, but I do want to say this as I wrap up. Angela McClain in the comments wanted us to give Maggie's name again. Like she wanted to research Ms. Anderson's name. Can you give that for us real quick? And I'm going to make a note as well.
Maggie Anderson. Maggie Anderson. You can Google her. She's going to pop right up. She's the author of a book called Our Black Year. Our Black Year. And she's been here at the Gaston Conference 3 or 4 times. She was here last year. And she's the truth, as they say. She is the truth.
Man, that's good. As we wrap up, anything else? Well, I said call you, but I haven't really gave a way for people to get connected with you. So how can they do that? Okay,
so you can call me. The number is 205-250-6380. That's 205-250-6380. That's at the Birmingham Business Resource Center. So you can give us a call. You can check out our website. It is myBBRC.biz, myBBRC.biz. And you can also go on my website, BobDickerson.com.
That makes it real easy. Now, you're doing podcasting now as well. People can catch your podcast. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, I just started. I've just got a YouTube channel. I'm doing Facebook Live. So you can check me out. I got encouraged to do it. I fought it for a long time. So I've been doing it for a few months. I'm enjoying it. I mean, I'm having a lot of fun.
I mean, listen, we got a few extra moments. We might as well go live and talk about all the knives we have. That's another way people can find you.
Absolutely, yeah. I resisted it for a long time, but they convinced me. I gave up, and I'm glad I did. Should have done it a long time ago.
That's great, man. That's great. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with me
thanks
tonight.
for asking me.
Man, this has been some great information. I listened to not only hearing the story about yourself, but also getting the story about A.G. Gaston was very impressive to me, and I'm sure the audience got it as well. So hold what you got real quick for me, Bob. I want to close this out tonight with encouragement to the people. I need you to support a friend of yours that's trying to do a business, all right? Find ways to spend money with them. Be an advocate for them. If they post online, guess what? Share their post. You never know how far a shared post could go for someone that you already are friends with. There's a lot of people trying to do things in this city, and we can only do it with the help of others, all right? So today is Thursday. Tuesday and Thursday of next week, I have some more guests coming your way. Like, I really have some good people coming your way next week. I'm going to put the flyer up online. You'll be able to see it, but you don't want to miss Strick City Live next week. Appreciate y'all for hanging out with me. And it's been really cool. Thank you, Bob Dickerson, for your time as well.